Hi everyone, I hope that you guys can hear me okay. This is going to be the first video I'm going to be uploading on this channel. I wanted to do kind of like an introductory video about my style first, but the Lion's Gate was yesterday, or like the peak of it was yesterday. The portal's still open today. I wanted to do a reading for that, so I'm probably going to do the introductory video some other time. My Mercury is opposite Leo, so sometimes I've been having a hard time the past couple of days, so if my words get a little bit mixed up, bear with me. So yeah, I guess we'll just go right into it. I will say this channel is for people who are a bit more familiar with tarot. If you're watching this based on the title, you probably already know about the Lion's Gate and the Heliacal Rising of Sirius, which happens on the 11th, so a few days from now. We were getting a lot of activations yesterday. Ooh, those two wanted to come out together. And I guess today I just wanted to focus on really absorbing the information from those activations from yesterday and what to do going forward in preparation for Sirius Rising in a few days. If you don't know what the Heliacal Rising is, that's it has the same beginning as the word Helios, which is the sun. It just means that Sirius will appear to rise in the east for the first time this year, right before or with the sun, when it's still a little dark and you can see the, actually I'm going to clarify some of this with the Loteria. I don't know why I felt compelled to use this deck today. It doesn't really have anything specifically to do with Sirius, but I think, yeah, this is a very spiritual deck to me, so maybe, you know, some cultures associate the underworld with the ancestors, and some associate the stars with the ancestors, and some kind of associate both in different ways. Like for instance, since we're talking about Sirius Rising, the Egyptian calendar was based around Sirius Rising. That was their new year. Some of you might be from traditions where Samhain or Halloween is the new year. Others, the March equinox, which just passed, was the new year. The Egyptians considered Sirius Rising basically their new year. One of their calendars in ancient Egypt did anyway. And they basically believed that their gods and their ancestors came from the stars. But we also have Anubis, who, you know, kind of watched over the ancestors who went to the underworld. So there was like a mix of both. It's like they come from both. It kind of just depends at what point in history and what the purpose was. I'm not going to get too much into the mythology of that just to not waste too much time, but I thought it was worth bringing up. I did shuffle these ahead of time just because some of these cards are big with the oracles that I'm going to be using later. That's interesting. That card came up in another reading earlier. And this is a general collective reading. I don't really like the word collective. It almost sounds like the Borg in like Star Trek, or like the Horde. You know what I mean? Like we're all a bunch of orcs. But I can't think of a better word for it. Oh wow, okay, that's interesting. Those two kind of wanted to come out together. That's interesting. I know I just said that's interesting a whole bunch of times, but I swear it is. So I feel like we're really seeing, because while I tend to think of the Emperor and the Empress as like the merging of the masculine and the feminine principles in like a very physical way. I don't just mean that like, you know, getting together physically. I mean like material things. presiding over communities, politics, money, things like that. But it can also be about, like, you know, wealth and abundance of, you know, expression, generosity. The Magician and the High Priestess are, to me, like the feminine and masculine principles of kind of spiritual ascension and manifestation. And I really do feel with, you know, Sirius in Cancer, and then the moon and sun together in Leo, we are seeing that sun, moon, masculine, feminine kind of coming together in the celestial bodies. So I find that that's a really good reflection of what's going on right now. The Page of Cups, I feel like a lot of us are beginning our journey of emotional healing right now. Like, this really triggered a lot of us to start looking at our where we feel burdened, where we feel like we've got the weight of the world on our shoulders, like Atlas, where we feel like we're just done. So this is kind of reminding me, so 7 and 3 from 37 reduces to 10 in numerology. So this kind of reminds me of the 10 of Wands as well. This is really just all about what is it that we need to let go. And we're kind of just starting that. We're kind of, some of us are being guided with like childlike innocence to really start to heal that. Others of us feel like we're starting over again, emotionally speaking. And I think that this event, this celestial event that's taking place, has triggered that for a lot of us. The Knight of Swords here, I really find this interesting. So this really isn't a, you know, soulmate reading right now. This isn't really a romantic reading, but for some of you watching this, again, this is a general reading. Take what resonates for you. But in the collective, which I would love to find a different word for, leave some suggestions. I feel like a lot of us are opening up. You see how this guy has the sword down his throat? Usually the Knight of Swords shows somebody kind of charging forward with the sword, kind of already in his hands. But this guy is like getting ready to go. And it's like he was a sword swallower in a circus act. He feels like a fool, but not like in the good way in the tarot, where it's like starting something new. It's almost like the fact that this was held back for so long. Now they're feeling foolish. And I feel like that's true for a lot of us. We have, and that doesn't make us bad or like not woke enough. It's just that we have been dealing with some very repressive energies with Pluto and Saturn. We live in a very repressive, abusive culture. You know, modernity has, not to say that thousands of years ago things were much better in some ways, but we're still healing a lot of traumas, a lot of karmic cycles. And many of us are just now learning to open up our mouths about what we want, what we need, and even just opening our minds even to what matters to us on a soul level, what matters to our soul. Earlier today I saw that Bible verse again, and I talk about it a lot. Some of you might not really like that, but it's just another text that you can learn something from. It doesn't have to be your religion. You know, following that still small voice, that God isn't, you know, in the thunder, he's not in loud things, he's in that still small voice that you can hear really within yourself. And I think this is all about unblocking your connection to that sword points right down into the heart through the throat. And it's really listening to your heart and speaking from the heart. And I think for a lot of us, in our relationships, whether it's a soulmate, twin flame, any kind of relationship, especially love relationships like romance, but any kind of relationship, really, I'm seeing for the collective that we're learning to speak our minds in a heart-centered way. Their eyes have hearts. You know, it's pouring out using the faculties of the mind and speech, the third eye and throat chakras, but it's coming from the heart. We can see the heart's visible here. So this sun and moon coming together energy is really going to be about learning to have more confidence. That's all what Leo is about, right? It's all about learning to feel confident in standing up for what matters to you. And here we're seeing, this again could be about the ancestors that I was talking about, but I'm seeing it kind of as like a death to old cycles, right? Ending blocking yourself from speaking your truth and doing what matters to you. We have 2 pages here. So for a lot of us, this journey of doing this is something that we're just starting. And I'm seeing a lot of people might even be, that's interesting because I felt called to start doing this recently too. Not everything in here is going to necessarily be my own thing. Like, I think I've already been working on this for like the past year, and right now it's not starting for me, but for a lot of people it is because of what's going on astrologically. This I do resonate with, and I think a lot of you might. If you've been dealing with any kind of anxieties coming to light due to this energy, any traumas, past life experiences, crazy dreams, I think a lot of people are feeling called to journal privately to themselves about it, just to get it off of their mind. And we do see this here. This soldier isn't fighting, he's kind of standing guard, standing watch. And it's all in the 7th house too, which is all about partnerships, relationships, legal contracts. I think a lot of people are, standing guard. They're kind of playing their cards close to their chest about some of the deep-seated wounds that they're trying to heal, but deep inside they are becoming illuminated about it. That is coming to light. The things that are in the shadow of their subconscious are coming to the forefront in their conscious, and I think a lot of you feel like you're called to write about it in some way, even just privately with this soldier here, just to like get it out of your system in some way, maybe even reflect on what you wrote later. I'm seeing this as kind of an interesting connection here, Pájaro and the Magician. I think birds are messengers, right? And Mercury rules the Magician, and that's a messenger as well. So we often think of the Magician as a manifester, and he is, but I think a lot of people are getting messages from their spirit guides right now. And that's interesting that comes kind of together, because the High Priestess is kind of thought of as a keeper of secrets, of esoteric secrets. But here we have and she's also got like these candles illuminating her way too. There's kind of like a reflection going on here, and there's like a reflection going on here, and like this is at the center, the heart, and releasing burdens. So I'm seeing this really as just people are communicating internally with themselves. They're checking in with their heart and their conscious. They're checking in with their subconscious, getting things out of their system, and they're checking in with their spirit guides. This is all about internal communication and uncovering secrets. The sun is kind of uncovering these secrets. And I think that this is going to cause a lot of growth for people. The flower pot here, la maceta, is all about both earth and water. It's the element of soil and growth and plant life, but you water it, right? It contains water. It doesn't just go through like the root system of the earth. You have it for yourself. You're containing your emotions and holding responsibility and taking accountability for your own feelings, so that it doesn't feel like this anymore. It feels like this, right? Light also helps the growth of this. You're watering your own plants now. You're dealing with your own emotions. And also we have 7 coming up here again. So for a lot of people, again, this is going to be about your partnerships, your marriage, going over past relationships that didn't work out well in your mind and figuring out where your wounds are there, and any other kind of journey you might be on right now. The rose is also, the scent of roses is very healing for the heart chakra. So that you might be feeling called to use rose or rose geranium or rose quartz even to kind of heal the heart chakra. I'm hoping that fan isn't too loud. It has been a hot day. We are in the dog days of summer in this part of the country, for me at least. Sorry, I don't know if I said that at the beginning. I feel called to say something else about this. Yeah, so this is like being supported by this. I feel like a lot of growth for people is going to be coming from dealing with the subconscious primarily. It's really going to be about all those things that we are unconsciously wounded and triggered by. I will use that Triggers Oracle deck at the end then. You know, we're feeling called to grow from becoming more honest with ourselves. That's what I think is going on there. All right, I'm gonna get a few more oracles out, or just start getting the oracles out, because I was feeling called to try a whole bunch of oracles, and I don't want to take up too much time with this reading, but you know, I'm gonna use whatever I feel called to use. Okay. Right, so I wanted to start with this. See, this is like freaking huge. I have such like a hard time shuffling these really big cards. That one wanted to come out. And so earlier when I was looking at this is Izzy Ivy's Beyond Lemuria. You may or may not resonate with like the star seed narrative. Yeah, I thought so too, sound. Up, and there we go with water again. And then the back of the deck is transformation. Earlier I saw luminescence, or it's called bioluminescence. This is all about star energy. So even if you don't believe in star seeds, just like take, you know, the metaphor, what it means to you. This is all about star energy with Sirius. Sometimes we're working with earth energy during or solar energy during the equinoxes, or during the midpoints between the solstices and equinoxes. But this is all about, you know, celestial, stellar gateway energy right now. You know, there is some sun and moon stuff going on too, and of course that impacts the earth. And so when I saw bioluminescence earlier, I was reminded of areas on the earth that kind of reflect the concept of stars, right? You know, glowing mushrooms in the darkest areas of the forest, you know, glowing sea marine plants that, you know, produce light in the deepest depths of the ocean where the sun doesn't reach. The light principle shows up even in the darkest places, and we're seeing that reflected in the kind of bringing that solar energy of the Lion's Gate and the spiritual solar energy of Sirius into our subconscious to heal us. You know, even the concept of stars in and of themselves, the fact that we exist with so much light all around us in the middle of a dark void of a galaxy, of a universe, is kind of a miracle. Light just comes into being. Let there be light. It was spoken into being. It was produced by a bang, by sound. It was produced by heat. It was produced just out of nowhere in the dark. And it seems like it shouldn't be possible, but it is. And I think people will be internally exploring the concept of what's possible for them. You know, I think our wounds can sometimes really hold us back, but releasing some of those wounds, if you need to cry, you know, just really deep dive and allow your heart to be opened by this energy. And I think some of you might even be called to, I know I've been called to do this last year, listening to things like sound bowls, meditations, binaural beats, anything like that. You might also be feeling called to use sacred geometry to assist in your healing process. And since we did have the new moon with this gateway, I wanted to use the Moonology deck. These two wanted to come out together. Right. You can't make this up. What do you need to release? Overflowing. That concept with the, you know, the High Priestess and the Page of Cups. What do you need to release? What do you need to journal? What do you need to think about? What do you need to expunge out of your expunge? What is the word I'm looking for? Just release, exile, even out of your subconscious. Just get it out of your system. Told you, my Mercury is opposite Leo right now, so I usually talk a bit better, but not today. The sound of the universe. That can also really be the sound of your heart, that still small voice that we were talking about earlier in this reading. And I would say that, you know, this kind of prosperity, this Venus energy, Venus rules over material abundance and love to some extent, right? So, I mean, we're just talking about security, right? It's not about, you know, being greedy. It's not about anything like that. It's about what can you do to feel more secure in your connections? What can you do to feel more secure in yourself? And secure in your finances and other things as well. What can you do to nurture and take care of yourself more? Because Venus is all about taking care of, and Taurus is all about taking care of. So saying that with this new moon energy, you might even want to look at your calendars and see, okay, so this new moon is in Leo. Taurus is square that, so you might be dealing with some you know, before this abundance comes in of love and all sorts of things, you might be needing to release the tension from that square energy, right? And figure out how are you going to release what's in the way of this. You know, listening to the sound of your heart, the sound of the universe, that still small voice. What can you do to bring this about? You know, they say that 8-8 is the infinity symbol put on its side twice. It's the abundance portal of this year, basically. Although I would say that Jupiter conjunct Saturn in the winter was also another abundance portal. So this is almost like a higher octave of that, right? And you're very close to achieving your goal. So you might even look right before this full moon in Aquarius, see if, you know, just have trust and faith that any manifestations that you're doing right now since this new moon are coming to fruition. And really, again, just seek inside of yourself to see what is blocking that faith and trust. Yeah, okay, I like that. That really goes well with the rest of this reading. Okay. I also felt, like I said, I was feeling called to use whole bunch of oracles. And that makes sense because when you're dealing with that stellar energy, it's like you want these direct messages from your guides. Yep. Whereas the tarot is very symbolic, which is good too. Yes. Okay. So again, relationships was an energy I saw coming up with the Two of Cups in the tarot portion of this reading. And I do think for a lot of us that might not even be about relationships that we have right now, but what it could be relationships we're having from a past life and we're re-experiencing them now. But it's like looking at where is your soul family, you know? Because if this were, you know, an ancestral reading, you might be looking into bloodlines, your physical family, and they may be in your physical family right now. But I think with the stellar energy, we're really looking, and you got like all these lights and things in here. You're really looking at your soul family. And, you know, we tend to like romanticize the concept of soul family as people that you'll just always get along with. You will feel more accepted by them and understood by them than other people. But that doesn't mean that you don't have challenges with them. And really just having gratitude for even knowing these people is a really important way to release any blockages to connection with the people you love, with the people who you resonate most with. Yeah, I think really just this is a time where in ancient Egypt, the Nile would have been overflowing, right? And the fertility of the soil around it as a result of that. So that always coincided with Sirius Rising in the ancient Egyptian calendar. So I think for a lot of us, just the gratitude for that abundance, that even when things, you know, are difficult, even when you've been dealing with a drought for a while, you have to just kind of have faith that that abundance will come in. And the abundance of love especially. I think love has been much more, I didn't see a lot of coins or material energy in this reading. We did get the roses and the flowers, but even that's, you know, physically grounding in your emotional body and releasing through physical things like tears with overflowing, exercises, meditations, centering yourself in your breath. There is a physical component, but it's very stellar light energy. Not all of my readings are like this. Sometimes we do focus very much on like career or physical things, but this is very much all about the stellar energy. And I think it's interesting that I felt called to use these decks, and that this very spiritually centered, higher vibrational, as they say, energy is showing up here. It's really all about releasing any pains from the past. And I'm really called to talk about the light coming into her center of her third eye here. It's like she's receiving messages from, you know, people who've been in her past life, from guides and spiritual assistants who have been with her for lifetimes. I think as a way to kind of focus on her blessings and not so much the difficulties, to really kind of heal these connections. For a lot of people, family, partnerships, relationships of any kind that are deeply significant are going to be a big part of the healing energy of this Lionsgate portal and Heliacal Rising of Sirius. I wanted to use this. Hold on a second. This is my... Well, it's not mine. I didn't make this. Somebody on Etsy sells these. I'm gonna make a list of the decks I use. Either I'll put that list online later or in the description of this video. It's by Lynette Bertucci. So let's just see what triggers are the collective releasing right now. Yeah, so many were, so you cannot make this up. Not all of it's about verbalizing in this deck. But there we go. Okay, yeah, I feel called to use these three together. Right, see, like, not all of them are about communication, but I was just using an example there, but these were the three that really wanted to come out. I will start an argument when I cannot verbalize my feelings correctly. Remember that Page of Swords with the sword in the throat. When I feel unloved, I will emotionally detach instead of expressing my emotions. I can act resentful and distance myself from people for months without addressing the issue. Yeah, so either you or somebody in your life might be working through these triggers right now. You might also be needing to work on you feeling triggered by other people acting this way towards you, or you act this way. Whatever resonates, really go into your subconscious, journal, cry about it if you need to. Work on releasing resentments about these things and fears that cause these, and just be very conscious of what is triggering these behaviors. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna look at this to see any advice on how to go about healing these triggers that wanted to come out. Waxing moon, building. East. Oh my god. Okay. And those two wanted to come out, and that wanted to come out. Okay, so that's interesting because we have the rising in the east of the Heliacal Rising of Sirius. So of course that's coming out. We just had the new moon, so the moon will be waxing in the next few days here. So we're building momentum here. And really just grounding these activations, active movement. You could do it by drinking a lot of water. I'm seeing water here. Paying attention to how you're feeling during the lunar cycles, journaling about it, using physical methods like journaling, getting it out and physically putting it down into something. Singing about it, getting some exercise, doing some pottery, painting, anything creative. And you don't have to be like fucking terrific at it. Sorry, I thought I wasn't gonna swear, but there, I did. You don't have to be terrific at it. Just do it to get it out of your system. Do it for the sake of being creative and releasing cathartically your emotions. Be active, move, exercise, take care of your body, and also take care of that. East also rules air and the mind, so take care of that emotional and mental component of dealing with these subconscious triggers that you have and behaviors that are based on wounds that you're still working on. And I think that receptive and stillness is about anybody who is doing any manifestations right now for abundance or any other kind of manifestation, for healing in relationships. That is building. Just have faith and trust. Be still, be receptive, it's coming. Yeah. So that's your reading, guys. I hope it resonated. I know that my speech about this was a bit chaotic this time. Like I said, it's just not the best time for me astrologically for my Mercury, but I still felt called to do this, and I'm glad I did. So, you know, yeah, leave any feedback in the comments. Let me know if there's any other things that you would like to see me use in these readings. I also do bones, runes, rune dice. Like, I have these dice that have like astrological signs and houses and planets on them. I use the Ogham, which is the Celtic tree symbols. I have so many kinds of oracles, and I have bibliomancy cards. I use poker cards, Lenormand and Kipper cards. I use those two last ones usually for more like relationship readings. So just let me know what kind of readings that you would like to see, guys, and I will get on that as soon as I possibly can. I don't do this full time, obviously, yet, as I am doing this as my first YouTube reading, but I would love to do this more full time. I do do readings on Psychic Source as well, and on Etsy. That's Azure Flame Tarot, A-Z-U-R-E, like the color blue. Azure Flame, as in like the flame of a candle, or a twin flame tarot, on Etsy if you'd like to get personal readings. Yeah, so that's the information I'm going to do now. I'm going to wrap this up so that this doesn't get too crazy long, but there you guys go. I hope you enjoy your Sirius Rising and the rest of your Lionsgate. And, oh, sorry, I was about to just turn this off. And have a great rest of your day, guys.